Welcome to this week's episode of Your Stock Request for the 7th of December. Hi, I'm Michael Gable, Managing Director of Fairmont Equities. Your Stock Request is the weekly video where I take your requests and analyse the share price charts. This week we have Woodside, IGO, Paladin, RPM Global and Avita Medical. So if you have a request, please send it through. Make sure you're getting the free newsletter, but my stock tips come out every Tuesday in the Dynamic Investor Report, so make sure you're getting that report. But if you do enjoy these videos, we'd love you to share them on social media or even leave us a review. Our main business is on the management side, so if you'd like my personal help in managing your share portfolio, please let me know. And all the advice here is general only. So we've got the daily chart here of Woodside. We did look at it recently in November, where it looked like it was going to bounce at the time. So we had sort of a bounce off the March low, sort of the gap up, and the buy signal on the daily RSI, but clearly it's broken that March low and has fallen a little bit further. What's interesting is in these past few days on the way down, volume has really picked up. So I find that interesting because it's not as though we're seeing the volume pick up right at the beginning necessarily, but you've had a drying up in volume only for it to pick up at the end. So often volume at the end or after you've already seen a big move can be a sign of capitulation, people just giving up right near the lows. There's a bit of reversal there yesterday, but it might still go a little bit lower. The next sort of support zone would be this low here that you'd be targeting near $29. So just interesting to see if over the next few days or so we get a bit more of a clearer bounce. But as you could see with Woodside, it does bounce in a V shape, so it doesn't tend to give you a nice sort of formation to get set. You just have to sort of observe the V shape and go for it. IGO, so another one that's sort of fallen quite rapidly just in the past few weeks. If we look at the weekly chart, we'll notice, in terms of the RSI getting very oversold, the most oversold since that big sell-off with COVID. But just having a look at what it's done recently, we've got again possible sort of uptick in volume after it's already fallen a bit, possible capitulation, and that sort of reversal yesterday on quite a lot of volume could be the low. Obviously it's only one day up, but just worth keeping an eye on. And the other thing that I've noticed is if you're into Elliott wave and you like to measure your three wave declines, you've got wave A, B, C. Often C is 1.6 times wave A. So if I get the Fibonacci tool out, sort of measure that and extend that down the 1.6. I mean, that brings us close to $7. So, yesterday's low was in 40 cents of that level. So, possibly from an Elliott wave perspective, you're seeing the bottom, and of course, this is another stock that tends to bounce pretty hard in a V shape, so one worth keeping an eye on. Paladin, I think it's worth starting off with a monthly chart, because I think the monthly chart is very, very bullish. And the reason why I say that is you've got this big base, this sort of cup and handle formation. So a very long-term sort of base came back to the top of, came up to resistance here a couple of years ago, consolidated under it for at least a year, and then as we could see recently, broke higher. I mean, on a shorter term time frame, it's just consolidating, but on the monthly chart, you'd be looking at potentially a move to $2 minimum. So very bullish monthly chart. Just looking at the daily chart, as I said, it's had this sort of vertical move. It's consolidating, but these higher lows, and this sort of reversal here looks very interesting as well. So it looks like it could be reaching the end of this consolidation and may well be on the move again. Okay, RPM Global. So, over the past few months, we've got this what looks like a bit of a double bottom there, and then a bounce. So we've then got an impulsive move up, followed by a corrective decline. So all of that looks fine, and we can see the intraday bounces here. So it does look like this one wants to start to head higher again. And Avita Medicals. So we did look at this one earlier in the year in terms of the tightening range and the breakout. Obviously, it's had a good run, but clearly, it's more looking on the downside now. So heading backwards, very gappy as well. So lots of gaps, makes it very hard to trade something that just gaps all over the place like that. It really needs to settle down. So again, if we go back to when we were tipping it earlier in the year, much more, consistent price action, just sort of overlapping days, tight ranges. You're able to do something with that. But yeah, all these gaps everywhere makes it quite difficult. So I think it really needs to settle down a bit more before you can get a bit more reliable trade out of it. Okay, well that's all for this week. If you have a request, send it through and I'll try to cover it next week for you.